My name is Zohran Mamdani. I'm a state assembly member representing Astoria and Long Island City in the state assembly. I was born in Kampala, Uganda, in East Africa. Came to this city at the age of 7 and grew up here. And I was given my middle name Kwame by my father. And in 1962, Uganda won its independence from the British. The United States government gave the Ugandan government a gift of 23 scholarships to celebrate that independence. And my father won one of those scholarships. He came to this country to study to become an engineer at the University of Pittsburgh. And sometime into his studies, he heard words reverberate in the corridor around him. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? These were words being asked by members of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. They were recruiting students to get on the bus to go to Montgomery, Alabama. And my father got on that bus. He marched. He was hosed down. He was thrown in jail. And he was given one phone call. And he called the Ugandan ambassador to the United States. He said, "Can you get me out of prison?" The ambassador said, "What are you doing in prison? We sent you there to study." And my father told him, "You sent me here as a gift for our freedom. They are fighting for theirs. It's one and the same." And so I stand here before you as a candidate for mayor, running on a very simple message. It's time New Yorkers can afford their own city. We have a president in this country who thinks of himself as a king. It is important to remind him and everyone that there are no kings in this country. And there are no kings in this city either. We deserve a mayor who will lead, but who understands that to lead is to serve. Thank you so much. My name is Zohran Mamdani.
Wake up with you on my mind, celebrating this kind of time. So I leave my work out like Shakira. I so I call me a mulera. Jagara kura be kotne.
Well, this is very, very nice and very good. Zohran Mamdani is the newly elected mayor of New York City. Congratulations. We are so happy for you, Zohran Mamdani. Well, let me tell you about Zohran Mamdani's story. It's a story of faith, hustle, and transformation. A true zero to hero story. Let me tell you more about this man. He was born in Uganda and raised in New York. He went from being a rapper known as Young Kadamon to becoming New York City's first Muslim, first South Asian, and youngest mayor in over a century. This is history. His journey reminds the world that never predict someone's future. Greatness can rise from anywhere. Congratulations, Zohran Mamdani. We stand with you. We're happy for you. We have someone who's going to fight for human rights, someone who's going to stand against Trump and his ICE deportations. We stand with you. Congratulations.
Well, folks, you've done it again. We can't take any more of your money. Truly, you need to stop.
He's a rapper turned politician, housing counselor turned mayoral contender, and one of the most outspoken voices in NYC politics. Here are the things that make his story stand out. Born in Kampala, Uganda on October 18, 1991, Mamdani moved to New York City at age 7. His mother is filmmaker Mira Nair, and his father is scholar Mahmoud Mamdani, both prominent intellectuals. He lives in Queens with his wife, illustrator Rama Duwaji, and proudly identifies as Muslim.
New York is suffering from a crisis, and it's called halalflation.
Mamdani attended public schools in New York, graduated from the Bronx High School of Science, and earned a degree in Africana Studies from Bowdoin College. Before entering politics, he worked as a housing counselor, helping low-income families in Queens avoid eviction.
As mayor, I'll freeze the rent every year that I'm in office.
He rapped under the name Mr. Cardamom, co-wrote #1 Spice for Disney's Queen of Katwe, and co-founded his high school's first cricket team. He also launched a Students for Justice in Palestine chapter during college, and has run the New York City Marathon twice.
This Sunday, I'm running. We're all running to do something that's never been done before.
He speaks Spanish,
Hola Nueva York!
and is also fluent in Urdu and colloquial Arabic.
मैं हमारे शहर को affordable बनाऊंगा.
In 2021, Mamdani was elected to the New York State Assembly representing Queens' 36th District. In 2024, he announced his mayoral run, and in 2025, he won the Democratic primary. Now he's pushing for policies such as rent freezes, fare-free public transit, and stronger public services.
Cost of living, cost of living, cost of living.
Yeah.
Can't afford my rent, can't afford my childcare, can't afford my groceries, can't even afford $2.90 to ride the bus.
He is one of very few U.S. politicians to have called Israel's war on Palestine's Gaza a genocide and faced backlash for it, including accusations of being anti-Semitic, a communist, and a terrorist. Some critics even suggested he might commit a terror attack or cheer on another 9/11.
Communist, not socialist, communist. He's far worse than a socialist.
Okay, let's talk about President Trump because he had a lot to say about you. He's attacking you as a communist. Are you?
No, I'm a democratic socialist.
Hicks, he can wine. Zohran, he can wine. Fox, he can wine. New York One, he can wine. Come on, come on, come on. NBC, he can wine. Fox News, and your mother son. Fox News, and your mother. There you go. 1, 2, 3. So everybody say, who are we? Everybody say, who are we? Everybody say, who?
Did you know Zohran Mamdani was actually born in Africa, specifically Kampala, Uganda? But by the age of 7, him and his family moved to New York City and he started doing his education there. So a little profile on who Zohran Mamdani actually is. So he's currently 34 years of age and he's running for the mayor's seat for the largest city by population in the United States. So this is New York City. New York City has a population of 8.5 million people. So conversation on Zohran Mamdani has actually been very interesting. And why is this the case? First things first, he defeated Andrew Cuomo in the mayoral Democrat seat, the primaries that they were having. And that made him the first Muslim nominee for that particular seat. And he's also from a South Asian background. The last few months, his support base has been growing enormously. Tens of thousands of volunteers have been coming to support him. And on social media, he's been interacting with different people. And that has boosted his popularity in the United States. So what are the things he's proposing? First things first, free bus services citywide. He's also proposing rent freezes because New York City is very expensive. He's also proposing universal childcare for children under the age of 5 years, from 6 weeks to 5 years. Now, he has a very high chance of actually winning this particular election. But Donald Trump is not feeling it. You see, Donald Trump is actually saying if Mamdani wins, then he'll even go ahead and cut federal funding in New York. What do you think about him? Please let me know in the comment section below.
A woman na yeta va elugasi. It's gonna be reminiscing like Lilian Babasi. Oyagala kufumba na yeto ina kabasi.
A lovely berry, a lovely night. Something I hate, what about I love, love spice. So by you see me, I score you na voice. Say, Sebonon pass release out Munyambe. Sina sente bosi Munyambe. Hey, Buno Munyo Guvama Wesoma Wale Katwe. Bosi, Kare Munange. Nyamba, now we yambe. Ha! Now we yambe. Yeah. Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice. Who's the number one spice? Who's the number one spice? Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice. Who's the number one spice?
Oyagala mere, oyagala nice. Okay, so jeku marketing kuwe good
You
price.
think I'ma do this all my life? Got to now munyo kuba kuma chat to the night.
Man, soon I'ma live in the city with the lights.
With the lights?
That's right.
With the lights?
That's right.
The spice to you is a means to me. Selling it with the price.
Being a politician means listening, not just to your supporters, but your critics too. And some of these critics, especially on a certain website, have been giving me consistent advice. For example, at SamWhite087, Zohran, go back to Uganda, where you come from and belong. At Teflon Gone, loser, go back to Africa. There are thousands like this from across the country. I hear you. And I agree. I'm going back to Uganda. I'm headed there in a personal capacity to celebrate Rama and I's marriage with our family and friends. But I do want to apologize to the haters, because I will be coming back. And since you will undoubtedly read about this trip in the New York Post, inshallah on the front page, here are a few of my humble suggestions for headlines. MIA, Mamdani in Africa. Uganda miss me. He's Kampala-lately crazy. He can't be serious. Carl Kampala-Neely investigates Mamdani. Zoe running away.
political scene, a Ugandan-born leader is making his mark. Zohran Mamdani, a grassroots organizer and a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, represents District 36 in the New York State Assembly, covering Astoria, Queens. He is among a new generation of progressive voices shaping policy in America's most dynamic city. Now, who is he? Zohran Mamdani has served in the New York State Assembly District 36 since 2021. He was born in 1991 in Kampala, Uganda, and is the son of renowned academic professor Mahmoud Mamdani. Known for blending activism with legislation, he works closely with tenants, unions, and immigrant groups. A Muslim leader who embraces both African and South Asian heritage. He also performed as a hip-hop artist under the name Mr. Cardamom, using music to spotlight social justice issues. And that's Zohran Mamdani.
A Muslim mayor of America's biggest city, meet Zohran Mamdani, born in Uganda of Indian descent and moving to New York City when he was only 7 years old, and now a rising star in American politics. At just 33, Mamdani flipped New York's 36th Assembly District in Queens, becoming the first South Asian, Ugandan, and only the third Muslim ever elected to the New York State Assembly. Recently, Zohran shared that his mayoral campaign received enough donations to meet its goals, urging his supporters to now consider contributing to other important causes.
I'm about to say something you've never heard a politician say. Please stop sending us money.
Zohran's breakthrough has been strongly tied to his ambitious plans for New York City, rather than engaging in broader international issues. Zohran Mamdani is also a vocal advocate for Gaza and Palestine. However, he had made it clear that as a future mayor, his primary focus will be addressing the needs of the people of his city. When asked about visiting Israel in a recent debate with former Governor Andrew Cuomo, Mamdani stressed his unwavering support for Jewish New Yorkers.
Would you visit Israel as mayor?
I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples, or at their homes, or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Son of filmmaker Mira Nair and scholar Mahmoud Mamdani, his path blends creativity, relevance to the younger generation, and passion for public service. Unique and different, Mamdani's journey from being an immigrant to being a political leader.
We're going to America. You remember they were saying they're putting us on the list?
Speaking of USA, so USA has just nominated, they've just voted for their mayor elections, and guess who is the winner?
Who's the winner?
He goes by the name of Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani. Now, Zohran Mamdani.
Indian decency?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, here's the crazy thing, right? So he actually is Ugandan.
Okay.
Ugandan by birth.
We're going to America. You remember they were saying they're putting us on the list?
We have our fighter right there in New York.
Now, let me tell you some little bit of history about him. He's an American politician who has been served as a member of the New York State Assembly, and the son of an academic, Mahmoud Mamdani. Now, he was actually a professor at McCurry University. And
oh, really?
And
had
then
a scuffle with what's her name? That lady.
I don't know.
There's that scuffle which happened on McCurry when that lady painted herself and
Stella Nyanzi.
Stella Nyanzi. You remember that scuffle?
Now then he is also the son of Mira Naira. Now Mira Naira was a director of Queen of Katwe, the movie, and she also did another movie with Denzel Washington. Like, so she is also a very well-known movie director. And Mamdani was born in Uganda and briefly lived in South Africa. He immigrated to the United States when he was 7 years old and settled in New York City after graduating from Bronx High School of Science. Now, he's been elected as mayor of New York.
As the Democratic Party representative, all right. And so what's really good about this is that he defeated the former governor, Andrew Cuomo, who is very known and very loved. Wow. Now, people, I guess, were really intrigued about Zohran and the things that he's done. Yes. I was reading about how he even collected up to $450 million in his trying to get something about taxi guys and trying to clear the debt for taxi guys or something of this sort. And so he's done amazing things for the city of New York City and also the state of New York. And so people are very excited. This is global news, by the way, that this Ugandan Indian has conquered and he not only conquered for, you know, the United States and the Americans, but also for Ugandans. You know what I mean? So this guy apparently was called Young Cardamom.
Yes.
He was a rapper here in Uganda.
Yes, he was. So he had a song called Chapati.
What? This is the man, bro.
What's wrong with musicians in Uganda joining politics? They're even representing internationally.
They play.
Kampala, Kampala, Kampala.
Meet Zohran Mamdani, the victor in New York City's Democratic mayoral primary.
Tonight, we made history.
Mamdani was born in Uganda to a family of Indian descent. His family moved to New York when he was 7 years old. Mamdani attained his bachelor's degree in Africana Studies. In 2018, he was naturalized as a U.S. citizen. He has earned fervent support from young voters, fueled by viral social media outreach.
So what's your take?
I should be the mayor.
I believe we can freeze thaw, make buses fast and deliver universal.
He's also known for his pro-Palestinian activism.
Limona Ugandaru Yembeko Muruzungu ne Muruganda, so I take Makavera get it like a banda cause I wanna eat it early so before the machetanda. Chapa was a part, now it's the whole me Rubitano, yeah, bay quata kudero. Quata kudero. Quata kudero. Quata kudero. Whoop, whoop. Kudero.
Fresh in the morning figure right here.
Chop it up.
Kanda. Eno mere. Kanda. Be a bad belly. Kanda. Tell me if you feel it. Kanda. Do it when you're ready. Kanda. Kabina kanene. Kanda. Hands up in the air like Kanda. Eno
Musaja tuka kwa kufirimbi, walking all day in the sun like a movie. Boss looks at me and says, "Stogwa musubi, sigwa musubi." Ndina munji.
Jilina said they need to cook ngoro fumbi. Na eti chimanza kupera oburunji. I'll be happy when the people party mubumbi. Cause everybody's family, man, even Gundi. And I will be a mayor who doesn't bow down to corporate interests, doesn't take his orders from billionaires, and sure as hell doesn't let ICE steal our neighbors from their homes. There are no kings in America, whether that's Donald Trump, Andrew Cuomo, or the Republican billionaires who fund both of their campaigns. Because...
Hello, Senator Sanders, Zohran Mamdani. My name is Remy Bahati. I'm a Ugandan-born, Columbia-educated journalist. I have a question. Probably you can both answer it. Uganda has been in the news for the wrong reasons, and the reason is because they have accepted to host deportees from the U.S., and it's setting a precedent for New York immigrants who are every day living in fear of being deported to countries like Uganda, to countries that we have no idea about. Zohran, first I would like you to pronounce yourself on the decision by Uganda, where you're originally from, on taking immigrants from the US. And then two, what are you going to do to protect immigrant New Yorkers living in fear every single day?
So I have to say a few words in Luganda to begin, because I'm a New Yorker, I'm an American, and also Ndimuna Uganda. I think it is wrong
to accept any part in the Trump administration's deportation agenda. It is wrong. It should be opposed, and we should understand that the greatest responsibility is with this administration here, seeking to tear families apart across this country. We are in a city where 40% of New Yorkers were born outside of this country. I am one of those New Yorkers. And we know that while I am proud to be one of the first immigrant mayors of this city in generations, that representation in and of itself is insufficient. We must be prouder still of the work that we will do. And so one of the key things that we can do here in New York City is to actually start to provide legal representation to New Yorkers in detention proceedings. There are tens of thousands of New Yorkers who are in immediate danger of deportation. And City Hall has only assisted fewer than 200. Fewer than 200. And the reason is not simply an illustration of our values that we are betraying that. It's because we know that this is effective. Just the mere act of having legal representation in that proceeding increases your likelihood to go home to your family by 11-fold. 11-fold. And so one of the first priorities of my administration will be to increase funding by tens of millions of dollars to scale up this program such that we do everything in our power to ensure that immigrant New Yorkers are not living in fear across this city. I could keep going, but I know the senators got to go.
I just wanted to add to that. This idea of picking people up off the street with men who have masks around their faces, throwing them into vans, taking them to God knows where, and then deporting them to countries where they know nobody is beyond unspeakable. It is disgusting. It is what takes place in two-bit dictatorships. That's what happens in dictatorships, not in the United States of America. So in Washington, we have our responsibility to stop that ugly behavior. All right,
Let's pray. Spirit of the Lord God, we thank you for who you are, for how you have kept, how you have redeemed, and you have made us aware and thankful for your grace and your mercy. Now, Father, we are praying for this young man whom you have chosen for such a time as this.
Yes.
Strengthen him.
Please, Lord.
Guide him.
Yes.
Imbue him with wisdom. Give him the ability to know what is right for this season. And we thank you, Lord, for the victory. We thank you, Lord, for the ability to govern well. We thank you, Lord, for the ability to hear even the smallest among us and to take them seriously. Now, Father, we thank you, not that he's going to do the miracle, but that you are going to do the miracle through him.
Yes.
And that in so doing, you will exclusively get the praise. We thank you for this. We're praying for his health, for his family. Thank you for protection in the name of the Lord God. And we call these things done in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Zohran Mamdani speaks with reporters later on this morning. He will undoubtedly be questioned about these photos that he posed for when he visited his native Uganda back in July. Here are the pictures that we're talking about. Mamdani took them with a top Ugandan official, First Deputy Prime Minister Rebecca Kadaga. Mamdani's father is in one. Kadaga was a key proponent of a law making consensual homosexual relationships punishable by life in prison. Now, Mamdani's spokeswoman tells the Post that he was waiting to board his plane back here to New York City when Kadaga asked him to pose for the picture. If he was aware she was the architect of this horrific attack on queer Ugandans, Mamdani's spokeswoman said he would not have done so. Now, former Governor Andrew Cuomo said How does a self-proclaimed progressive candidate for mayor of New York City, the birthplace of Stonewall, the city that led the fight for equality, find himself smiling beside one of the most notorious anti-LGBTQ figures on the planet? And how does he maintain dual citizenship in a country that criminalizes people simply for who they love? Zohran Mamdani has shown one quality time and again, duplicity. And as we've learned, if he's smiling, he's lying. Cuomo also implored Mamdani to condemn the phrase globalize the intifada. This as the world prepares tomorrow to mark 2 years since the October 7th attack. And the former governor says that two-term state assemblyman, who will turn 34 years old later this month, is unprepared to lead the city.
Mayor of New York should not be your first job, Maria. There's no time for on-the-job training.
Early voting begins in 19 days. Election day is 4 weeks from tomorrow.
We have some of the sisters here who have been canvassing for you, phone banking for you, and making sure everyone in our community are registered to vote. And we wanted to make sure you meet them today because they've all been telling their family members to go out there and vote early this weekend and then make it to the polls on November 4th. So that's why we wanted you to yes.
Zohran waire ari qasun yimi nandiga makata sui ali fatakara keboko ati kayani yagaru benusu kaga bakana naga ote kaga kono kasoro ndangana karo munda kakino nunda kakisma nunda ngena tosundaga ote so alai o aro kasuna mewararo anajiga munko karanyan.
We'll do one quick group picture and then Zohran has to go.
I'll just say before we take the photo, I just want to say thank you to all of the sisters who are here, mothers, the aunties, those who have believed in this campaign. And I know in our community, when we are looking for leadership, when we are looking for strength, when we are looking for vision, we need not look any further than the sisters of our masjid. And even the babies. And I will tell you that it was my grandmother. Her name was Kulsum. She taught me so much of what I learned that it was to be a Muslim. She taught me that to smile was to follow the sunnah. She taught me so many of the things that I hold so dear today. And I know that there are so many in this room who teach so many lessons just like that. To so many across this community and more. And I want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
And one thing I have often felt is that we do not often recognize the work that is done by the sisters in our community. The leadership that is shown. And it is a joy to be here alongside you as leaders. So thank you for believing in this campaign. Thank you for being a part of this. It's a privilege to be here alongside you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Thank you,
Everyone,
We spoke with one voice. New York is not for sale. And now, as we stand on the precipice of taking this city back from corrupt politicians and the billionaires that fund them, let our words ring out so loud tonight that Andrew Cuomo can hear them in his $8,000 a month apartment. Let them ring so loud so that he can hear us even if he's in Westchester this evening. Let them ring so loud that his puppet master in the White House hears us. New York is not for sale.
Could I ask how you're going to protect this city from the National Guard coming in?
The first thing is we have to prepare for the inevitability of that deployment. We cannot try and convince ourselves that because something is illegal, Donald Trump will not do it. We have to be prepared, and we have to be clear-eyed. And we have to understand that it will take every single tool at our disposal. We saw in California the mayor of LA, the attorney general of the state, and the governor work together to fight back against the White House's deployment of the National Guard. They filed a lawsuit. A federal judge just recently found in their favor that the deployment of the National Guard was illegal. I give you this example because partnership is critically important in fighting back against Donald Trump. Can you imagine Andrew Cuomo working together with Tish James and Kathy Hochul to fight back against the deployment? Why would he fight back when it's Donald Trump that's trying to get him elected right now?
You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is fairer for all of them.
Well, let me ask you about what Donald Trump, the president of the United States, has had to say. He's had a lot to say about your campaign. He called you a communist. Because he's the president, I want to give you a chance to respond directly to him. How do you respond? Are you a communist?
No, I am not. And I have already had to start to get used to the fact that the president will talk about how I look, how I sound, where I'm from, who I am, ultimately because he wants to distract from what I'm fighting for. And I'm fighting for the very working people that he ran a campaign to empower that he has since then betrayed. And when we talk about my politics, you know, I call myself a democratic socialist in many ways inspired by the words of Dr. King from decades ago, who said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism, there has to be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And as income inequality has declined nationwide, it has increased in New York City. And ultimately, what we need is a city where every single person can thrive.
Why is Mamdani currently leading the polls?
He does very well. Well, right now, he's the Democratic nominee because he calls himself a Democratic socialist. He ran in the Democratic primary. He won in the Democratic primary. In this city, if you're the Democrat, you automatically get X percent of the vote because it's a 70% Democratic city by enrollment. And there are people who, if you're a Democrat, you just vote Democrat. You're a Republican, you just vote
lifelong
Republican.
blue voters.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned is that when you're the first Muslim elected official to ever run for mayor, people say some pretty wild things. For example, some folks on Twitter have convinced themselves that I'm hiding 2 secret children. I do not have any kids, much to my parents' disappointment. Or last Sunday when we held our first major campaign rally and we gave out these cool new bandanas, one former city council candidate said these were in fact, get this, hijabs. Who can blame her? After all, everyone knows the most critical components of an Islamic state are hot dogs, a pigeon, and a Metro card. I guess everyone had different takeaways from our rally. Here's mine. The movement we're building is unprecedented, and thanks to you, on the verge of winning this race on June 24th. So come out to Canvas. Head to ZohranForNYC.com/events, sign up for a shift, and get your free bandana.
The moment that Mamdani, in my opinion, won, at least the primary, was when on the debate stage, they asked them, what is the first place you would visit? And they all got out their virtue signaling and self-importance and said, well, I'd go to Israel.
Where would you go first? Left to right, Ms. Adams.
First visit, I would visit the Holy Land.
Mr. Cuomo?
Given the hostility and the anti-Semitism that has been shown in New York, I would go to Israel.
Mr. Tilson, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd make my 4th trip to Israel, followed by my 5th trip to Ukraine, 2 of our greatest allies.
Mr. Mamdani?
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Dude, make sure the trash is picked up. And he said, and this was the moment for him. He said, I'd go to Brooklyn. I'd go to Harlem. I'm about improving the city. And these folks in operational roles, do you really need
to go to Israel?
Yeah,
No.
and you're basically saying
Yep.
I'm going to take taxpayer money and instead of doing my fucking job, I'm going
Stay
to
in the
pretend
city.
I'm bigger. I'm going to pretend that I should be president. No one gives a shit what you think about the war in Ukraine or Gaza. You're here to run the city and make sure we have good schools, that people are safe. And he ran right through that. That was brilliant on his part. And it also, more than
That's
what
why I
happened.
think he's going to do a good job here. But go ahead.
But the most exciting thing about his win was within 7 days of him winning, 4,000 young Democrats filled out paperwork to run for office across the nation. And that's what we need. We need more young people who think, if this guy can do it, so can I. I am so sick of the old pulling the future forward on my credit card. I have had it.
Agreed.
And so I'm like, we've both said, we're a little bit caught up in this fever and what it says about democratic politics. And they should absolutely take some notes from his playbook around how he weaponized new media and also focused on affordability and represents, a new generation.
We recently met and we found out that he's Jewish. His mother was Jewish and his grandmother was Jewish. So, Mr. Mayor, we might find out very soon that you're Jewish. Don't hang out with me. So, welcome to our community. And I want to tell you about Rabbi Indig. Not when your numbers were up or when Adams dropped out. First day he called me up and told me, I like this guy and I'm going to meet him no matter what the consequences are. He called me after he met you. He told me, this guy is a friend of the Jewish people. He's real. He's sincere. And I believe he's going to be the best mayor of New York City. And I'll him all the way. So this is who Rabbi Indig is, and he represents us all. So congratulations. Why do I have to waste a few weeks? I'm becoming the mayor of New York City. We hope you come back. Absolutely. We believe you will, and you bring along. Eric is going to show you the directions how to get here. He's almost here every week. If you're not as Brad, they're with everybody. So thank you for coming. It's an honor.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I also want to mention before I give it over to you that we have a very good friend over here, which he is a friend from many years back.
Chop it up, chop it up, chop it up, chop it up.
Kanda, enoye mere, Kanda, be about
Kanda time. So I leave my waka like Shakira. I so why call me a mulera. I got the same mystery as chapati, origins of India, but born in Eugene. And that's how I take my kavera, get it like a banda, cause I wanna eat it early, so full of machetanda.
I am Donald Trump's worst nightmare as a progressive Muslim immigrant who actually fights for the things that I believe in.
तो ये है जो एंड्रू कोमो ऑफर कर रहा है.
आज मेरे पास बिल्डिंगें हैं, प्रॉपर्टी है, बैंक बैलेंस है, बंगला है, गाड़ी है, क्या है तुम्हारे पास?
आप
Go ahead, make a rap for your nanny. It's a rap. Get the guap, spin the rack on your nanny. Spin the rack. Come through, give a dap to your nanny. If you're feeling good, spin a track for your nanny. Go ahead, make a rap for your nanny.
Twins, what they
Friends, we have done it. More than just struggle. One where those who toil in the night can enjoy the fruits of their labor in the day.
Communist, as the mayor of New York, it'll be very interesting. But here's the good news: he's got to go through the White House. Everything goes through the White House. At least this White House, it does.
Mr. President, a new poll shows that if Curtis Sliwa dropped out of the New York mayoral race, then Andrew Cuomo would only trail Mamdani by 4 points. Would you call Curtis Sliwa to drop out of the race so that can happen?
Well, I looked at the polls, and looks like we're going to have a communist as the mayor of New York. It'll be very interesting. But here's the good news: he's got to go through the White House. Everything goes through the White House. At least this White House, it does. And we'll have to see what happens. But if he dropped out, he's not going to win. And not looking too good for Cuomo either. But maybe, I don't know, if he dropped out, maybe Cuomo would have a little bit of a chance, but not much. Because it looks like the lead is, it's not a great lead, but it's big enough that he should be able to win. So, I don't know that I want to get involved. It's really a question of, would I rather have a Democrat or a communist? And I would rather have a Democrat than a communist.
Will you meet with Mamdani if he wins?
Yeah, I'll speak to him.
I speak the language of democratic socialism only because he spoke it first. And when I ran for state assembly almost 6 years ago to the day, it was at Bernie's rally in Queensbridge Park where I led our first canvass. Signing people up for our email lists, asking them for $5 or $10, and encouraging them to believe that the politics of not me, us applied to our state government just as much as our national one. When we win on November 4th, and then govern from City Hall with dignity as the foundation of our politics, it will be because of the movement that Bernie built. I stand before you tonight as the nominee of a Democratic Party reinvigorated in its pursuit of making government work for everyone, not just the wealthy and the well-connected. Looking out at more than 13,000 of you here in Forest.
Come, we support you, man. Yeah, thank you. We will win, man.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you,
my brother.
Right behind you.
Hi, guys.
My cousin goes to Star.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I tried. I couldn't get it. Nice to meet you guys. I went to Bronx Science.
Oh. My other cousin goes to Bronx Science.
That's good. You may shake my hand. Thank you so much.
I voted for you on Saturday.
Thank you so much. What's your name? Oh, that's amazing. Ron's from Morocco?
Yeah.
Great to meet you.
For Schumer, though, to endorse you. I mean, he's the top elected Jewish New Yorker.
I'm going to talk to New York.
Are you ever going to talk to some voters?
My focus is not on endorsements. If endorsements won elections, I wouldn't be the Democratic nominee.
Exactly.
See you, so. Nice one. How are you? Good to see you guys.
Good luck.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
How are you? The election coming up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
We gotta get out of the bus lane so they can be fast. Let's get.
Brian Hammond, DC 37. I met you there. How are you? How are you, sir?
Doing well. Great to see you. This campaign is also speaking to the. Actually, let's. Yeah.
Right up through. That's who you voted for, right there.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Are you good at music?
But I think, Chris, my final point is just that affordability is a concern for so many older New Yorkers. And also, I've heard from so many older New Yorkers that it's been their kids, their grandkids, their nephews, their nieces. I've also introduced them to this campaign over the last few months. And that's been something that's been so exciting to see how this campaign.
I've been part of a couple of organizations that you work with in the African community. So I do appreciate you being able to see us too.
Thank you.
And speaking for us. So always support.
Always. Thank you, brother. Thank you, guys.
Go get him, Italian families under attack.
Today is Election Day. It is a day that we have been dreaming of for more than a year. And as much as things have changed over the course of this campaign, in many ways it is the same campaign we launched on October 23rd. A campaign that looks to transform the most expensive city in the United States of America into one that's affordable for each and every person that calls it home. And I'm so thankful to the more than 100,000 volunteers who have brought us to this point, where we are on the brink of making history in our city, on the brink of saying goodbye to a politics of the past, a politics that tells you what it can't do and really what it means to say is what it won't do, and to usher in a new era in this city where we understand that we do not get to choose the scale of the crisis we face. We simply get to choose the manner in which we respond. And it is time to finally respond with the urgency that New Yorkers deserve. An urgency that reckons with these same New Yorkers having had to face rent hike after rent hike, year after year. These same New Yorkers having to wait for buses that never come. These same New Yorkers that have to move out of this city when they want to raise a family. And these same New Yorkers who have grown tired of going on Street Easy to find apartments in Jersey City because that's the only place they could consider affording. It is time now for a new day in our politics. And it is an honor and a privilege to be a part of a movement that has fought every single day to bring that day forward. And today, we have until 9 p.m. to say that our time has come. Thank you very much.
Fair.
And my point is this:
Give up more than half of your income. That's
if you're making $1 million in New York City, or more than that, you can afford to pay 2% more. And the reasons you can afford to do so is because that money will be used to better your quality of life as well.
Yeah.
Because when I speak to the wealthiest New Yorkers, I hear concerns about the cleanliness of the city, the quality of life in the city, questions of public safety. This money is the money that will be used to deliver on those things, so that we can ensure that we have a return on investment for all of the money that we are raising and spending right here across the 5 boroughs.
52%. You got to understand how silly this is. You telling a person they make $1 million. $1 million is not that much money in New York. Like when I'm saying, when you look at the per capita of all these big time people that live there, $1 million is really not a lot. I'm saying for the people who got money. I'm not saying, because I know some people out there like, but you live in the city. You think you're gonna have a high rise. You're gonna live $1 million don't take you as far. Maybe I should say it like this so people don't misconstrue what I'm saying. $1 million in Texas, in Florida, Arizona, Oklahoma, anywhere in the South, will take you to the promised land. In New York, after you pay 52% of your money in state tax, what is it? State tax? Hold on, let me put this together. State tax? Am I tripping, y'all? Let me put this together. 52% in state. It's no way that's right. It can't be. It can't be. It must be something. Let me look into this. Okay, it says. It's a clip of Mamdani who wants 52% citywide income tax remain unverified and exaggerated. He said it there on the news, so I don't think it's unverified. Higher tax on the top 1%, increase corporate tax or corporate rates to fund housing. I'm trying to put this together. Maybe I'm wrong. I need to do my research on this because this kind of don't make sense. 52% on state tax. Now, how do you do 52% on state tax? What do you do on federal tax? Because if you're making $1 million or more a year, you're probably in the top bracket in federal income tax, which is like 30-some%. Maybe he's saying just corporate tax. So that means that, like, for instance, one of my companies is actually a corporation. So then I have to pay taxes twice, right? The corporation pays tax, and then I pay tax individually. 52% on corporate, that can't be right. Because corporations have to pay federal income tax. And then you have to pay 50% to state. I'm wrong on this. Can somebody help me in the comment section? Am I tripping? It's impossible. That means you're paying like 60-70% in taxes. That can't be true. That can't be true. I gotta look this up. Y'all, let me do more research on this. It says 50% blanket income tax on all New Yorkers. Obviously not all. They're talking about the 1%.
My team says I move my hands too much in these videos. So for this one, they're staying in my pockets. The other day on the subway, I met a New Yorker. But get this, they vote in California. I know this is true for many of you. You're Democrats who've chosen not to vote here because you believe your vote counts more elsewhere. Every 4 years, you vote absentee from your parents' address in Philly or 3 apartments ago in Atlanta. But come on, you live here. I get it. I do.
Keep them in your pockets.
Especially after this last election. We all wanted to defeat Donald Trump, and New York felt like a lock. But in many ways, this election, Trump's back on the ballot. We have a choice between Andrew Cuomo, funded by the same billionaires who put Donald Trump back in the White House, and our campaign, who will tax billionaires to make the city affordable. It's a referendum on where our party goes. So in just this one instance, ask yourself, WWDFGD, what would a disgraced former governor do? Well, Cuomo changed his registration immediately after not having lived here for more than 30 years. So if he's voting from his new address, so should you. With just single digits between us and Andrew Cuomo, your vote can make the difference. You have until June 14th, this Saturday, to change your registration in New York City. So head to ZohranForNYC.com/vote. Let's win this thing. I do.
Keep them in your pockets.
And you can't be president, so that makes me trust you more. I just
Please, can you
worry
tell
that it
every
can't get
uncle
done.
that you can find that I can't be president? Every time an uncle takes a photo with me, they whisper in my ear, "President next." And I'm like, it's illegal. It's illegal.
No, tell them to vote for Vic. So
Go ahead, make a rap for your nanny.
It's a rap.
Get the guap, spin the rack on your nanny.
Spin the rack.
Come through, give a dab to your nanny. If you're really feeling good, spin a track for your nanny. Go ahead, make a rap for your nanny.
It's a rap.
Get the guap, spin the rack on your nanny.
Spin the rack.
Come through, give a dab to your nanny. If you're really feeling good, spin a track for your nanny.
This will be the most significant win for the left in the history of US politics. I mean, yeah, Bernie Sanders...
The left of the left.
Yeah, the left
Not
of the
just
left.
the Democrats, but the progressive.
There have been other politicians in America who have self-identified as socialist. Bernie Sanders, the senator in Vermont, does that. But he is he's a senator in the Senate. This is someone who is going to be leading New York City, the preeminent financial capital of the US. And that will be something that is going to galvanize politics. And so, yeah, people are excited on the Democratic side, and they're also terrified because establishment Democrats kind of are more comfortable with people who can cozy up to the billionaires, who've got good relations with Wall Street, who speak the same language as business.
Yeah.
And Zohran Mamdani is gaining his support and his electoral strength from grassroots and grassroots upwards.
If you are on the kind of the business side of the sort of centre-right, business right of New York, you think this is a man who's going to bankrupt your city, and it's all working pretty well. And please don't touch the transport system. Please don't touch, the housing market. Please don't start offering huge amounts of subsidy for childcare. The city can't afford it. If you are somebody who has felt completely ignored by the establishment over generations and decades, you probably think, finally, thank God somebody is listening to what we need.
Your main opponent, Andrew Cuomo, continually mispronounces your name. I want you to respond to that. This is how he does it.
I'm running against a man named Zohran Mamdani. He's a socialist.
If you can respond to that and tell us how you say it, your full name.
Zohran Mamdani. And I think what has been offensive to me is not whether a New Yorker can say my name on their first attempt or their second, but that what Andrew Cuomo has done is deliberately mispronounce that name. And it is something whose meaning is not, it's not just about me. It's about how so many New Yorkers have to deal with this in their own workplace, in their own lives. I was at a mosque recently for Friday prayers, and I asked the uncles and the aunties there to raise their hands if they've ever had to deal with the basic indignity of having the name that they were given be butchered time and again with an intention of belittling them. And hand after hand after hand raised. And that shows me the ways in which so many have been overlooked at the very least. And our campaign, it's not a campaign to ensure that everyone can say my name. It's a campaign to ensure that each and every New Yorker is celebrated for the fullest version of themselves, who they actually are, and belonging to the fabric of this gorgeous mosaic, as David Dinkins once called it. I was named by my father after Kwame Nkrumah, the first Prime Minister of Ghana. And it is a point of pride for me and a reflection of the fact that I would also be the first immigrant mayor of the city in generations. I was born in Kampala, Uganda, in East Africa, moved here when I was 7. It's the city where I grew up, the city where I met my wife, the city where I got my citizenship, and hopefully the city I will lead.
Hot take, but not really. Normal people with common sense do not want Zohran Mamdani to be the mayor of New York City. The reasons are extremely obvious. Unfortunately, a lot of people lack critical thinking skills, and a lot of people are bought into this fantasy that he is selling. A lot of people are driven more by emotion rather than rationality and logic. I do think there are a lot of native New Yorkers that do not want this. It's unfortunate that we really have no other options. Like, our other option is Andrew Cuomo, and people already hate Andrew Cuomo from when he was governor. So look, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope he gets into office and he does an amazing job and really helps the city. I think that's highly unlikely, but I hope that I'm wrong. I really hope that I'm wrong. Please pray for New York City. Either way.
So get this. Zohran Mamdani, self-described socialist and New York Democratic mayoral nominee, just threw a 3-day, extremely lavish wedding celebration in Uganda, not at a town hall, not in a community center, at his family's posh compound in Buziga Hill. which overlooks Lake Victoria, has gated security, phone jamming tech, and more armed officers than Jonathan Yardley-styled exclusivity. Luxury buses, Mercedes, Range Rovers, festive lighting, DJs. Like, basically, who needs the Met Gala when you have Lake Victoria? Let us not forget, this is the same guy campaigning on rent freezes, fare-free buses, city-owned groceries, you know, the basis of socialist living. Now, a socialist candidate isn't required to go full commune. But flying halfway around the world to party at a compound worth several million while promising to tax the rich and defend the working class, that's next level optics. And of course, he's defending it as a personal family celebration. Because he was born in Kampala, owns land there, is a dual Ugandan citizen, and says he's returning here by month's end. But some say his timing was totally tone deaf because many were mourning the death of a local Supreme Court leader nearby. And they say that it was culturally out of sync and insensitive. Well, that's not news. So here's the thing, a socially trying to fix inequality in New York City, but simultaneously indulging in elite spectacle abroad. The tension is real.
So what's your take?
I should be the mayor.
I don't know, man. I'm getting all these pieces of mail. Hold on here. They keep sending me mail that says that you shouldn't be the mayor.
What are these guys saying?
Okay, let me see. This one says, support higher taxes and more fees on New Yorkers. I don't want to pay more taxes.
Do you make $1 million or more a year?
100% disagree.
So then your taxes are not going up. The only taxes that we are proposing are on the 1% of New Yorkers who make $1 million or more a year.
What are you going to do about the price of matcha lattes?
100% not sure.
I mean, they're $9. Dude.
I only want to make promises.
You can win this campaign easily if you lower the cost of matcha lattes.
I can only make the promises I can keep.
This says NYC can't risk a mayor who supports defunding the police.
Well, no matter how many pieces of literature you get sent, I'm not defunding the police. I'm actually working with the police to create public safety by ensuring they can do their jobs, focus on serious crimes, and creating a department of community safety that'll focus on mental health, homelessness.
So technically, the police force will stay the same. Yeah, but there will be more people doing other stuff.
And we're saying that no longer do police officers have to do the jobs of mental health professionals and social workers, and instead they can focus on shootings and murders and serious crimes in the city.
What the police should do. That makes a lot of sense. You don't see me doing other jobs on the subway. This is my job. This is all I do.
Do the job that you signed up for.
I'm not driving the damn train.
No, you're not.
All right, this says that you have a radical plan to put homeless in the subway system.
This is just 3 for 3 a lie that you're getting in your literature. Let's look at the little print of who's actually paying for this. This is being paid for by Michael Bloomberg, by DoorDash, and by Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman is a Trump-supporting billionaire.
What the hell is DoorDash doing funding an election? That makes no sense.
And then finally, Michael Bloomberg dropped $8.3 million on Andrew Cuomo's super PAC. That's the same amount of money we raised for more than 20,000 people. That's the kind of mismatch here between ordinary people and billionaires.
You should have used the $8 million to subsidize matchas. I mean, seriously, it's a good idea. If people would stay in New York, who does end up leaving the city?
Working and middle-class New Yorkers. It doesn't have to be this way, but these guys would rather lie to you every single day rather than admit the fact that the policies they have pursued for so long have left us with the city that we actually have today.
At least they spell their name right.
Look, if you are a New Yorker who hasn't voted yet, remember, you can early vote until Sunday. Election day is on Tuesday. This is an election between billionaires and corporations who want to buy this democracy, or the working and middle-class New Yorkers who are being priced out of it.
Let's try something new.
Hot people vote for hot people, and voting is the hottest thing you can do today. So Zohran, where can people find their polling sites?
They can find their polling sites at zohranfornyc.com/vote.
You heard it here first.
Besides being a socialist, Mamdani is a Muslim. Not only that, but his parents are Indian and he was born in Uganda. Wait, it gets even better. He didn't become a United States citizen until 2018. And 2 years later, he was elected to the New York State Assembly. That's my America. So after he won the Democratic primary in June, Republicans started with birtherism, claiming Mamdani wasn't born in the United States. Guess what, you idiot? idiots. He wasn't born in the United States. He was born in Uganda. Donald Trump in July said he had reason to believe Mamdani was in our country illegally. Based on what? Mamdani's Muslim. After Mamdani's primary victory in June, Tennessee House Republican Andy Ogles called on Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate Mamdani's citizenship, and then he called for Mamdani's citizenship to be stripped from him after he found out he was an actual citizen. By the way, the FBI is currently investigating Ogles over what has been described as a $1 million discrepancy involving his campaign finances. Florida House Republican Randy Fine called Mamdani the enemy within, accusing Mamdani of only becoming a U.S. citizen to destroy our country. And then there's sexual predator and disgraced former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, who was trailing Mamdani by double digits. During a recent radio interview, Cuomo said, quote, of Mamdani's Muslim faith, quote, God forbid another 9/11. Can you imagine Mamdani in the seat if that happens? When the right-wing conservative host said Mamdani would cheer if New York got hit by another 9/11, the sexual predator and disgraced former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, responded with, quote, that's another problem. Later, Cuomo said he was joking.
When Zohran Mamdani applied as an 18-year-old to college, he applied to Columbia. He wasn't accepted, but he checked the box African American.
I think one of the things that's really important to understand about Zohran Mamdani and about his father, who's a very, very distinguished political scientist, Mahmoud Mamdani, is that their identity was as Africans, right? And that the vision they had of Uganda was of a country that was multiracial, an African country that was multiracial, that included people like their families who came from South Asia and people who were black. In fact, in some ways, this was the struggle against Idi Amin. I mean, not to get into the weeds here, but Idi Amin had expelled Asians from Uganda precisely because of his racist view that South Asians were not truly Africans. And so for Zohran Mamdani, it was an important statement to say, I am an African.
Mr. Cuomo, in 2021, 13 different women who worked in your administration credibly accused you of sexual harassment. Since then, you have spent more than $20 million in taxpayer funds to defend yourself, all while describing these allegations as entirely political. You have even gone so far as to legally go after these women. One of those women, Charlotte Bennett, is here in the audience this evening. You sought to access her private gynecological records. She cannot speak up for herself because you lodged a defamation case against her. I, however, can speak. What do you say to the 13 women that you sexually harassed?
If you want to be in government, then you have to be serious and mature.
Nobody's doing it like him.
Do not send us any more money. We can't take any more of your money. Truly, you need to stop.
The reason why he's telling his supporters to stop sending money is because he's already reached the $8 million spending cap that a candidate in the race can already spend. This is how I know he's gonna win, because during the primary, he did the exact same thing. He raised the spending cap of $8 million, all from 18,000 small dollar donations, which makes Mamdani the first candidate in the mayoral race to reach the cap for donations. This is what makes him so over. He already updated his website saying he's no longer selling any more merch, that you can find print at home posters and button templates here for free, that you can't donate by check, you can't donate by credit card, and there's no more fundraising activities. Instead of telling his supporters to donate money, he's telling them to donate their time. That's how he won the Democratic primary. He told his supporters to stop donating money and instead donate their time in canvassing, in phone banking, in text banking. He had a 50,000 strong volunteer army pulled off, which was the largest volunteer operation in New York City history. This is the exact definition of servant leadership. A literal philosophy where the leader's primary focus is on serving and supporting the growth and well-being of their team and other stakeholders rather than on their own power or personal gain. Here's the thing, Americans don't know what that looks like nor feels like because it seems like every elected official is always out for their own personal gain. And even though it's good for us, and even though it's exactly what we need, because it's foreign, it's scary to us. Add to that the American and westernized propaganda that we should be scared of him because he's Muslim.
That guy was the only person in the New York City mayor's debate to say he wanted to focus on New York City. All the candidates were asked, if you could visit a foreign country, what would it be? And they, of course, all had an answer. I think most said Israel. Great. And he said, I wouldn't go anywhere. I'd stay in New York. And like, if I want to meet Jewish constituents, I'd go to their synagogues, their homes or whatever, but I'd be here in New York because that's what I'm doing. I'm running New York. That's my job.
Well, he gave the right answer.
He gave the right answer. He
Yeah.
gave the right answer, at least. And he's talking. I totally oppose his program. Just
Absolutely.
To be clear. I don't think it works, but he's talking about economics.
Yep.
And everyone else is talking about foreign policy. Why is it hard to talk about economics, domestic economics?
If you look at Zohran Mamdani's mother, Mira Nair, she's an Oscar-nominated director. She did a film in 1991, Mississippi Masala, which documents the story in short of a Ugandan Indian woman who falls in love with an African-American man. It was a really early role for Sarita Chowdhury and Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
And that film, I think, really hits the nail on the head in terms of the multiple ironies that can exist all at once, where you have a family of Indian descent that flees Idi Amin's expulsion in Uganda, ends up in the deep south in Mississippi in the United States, where they face racism, but are racist towards the black African-American man who falls in love with their daughter. There are multitudes here that really exist. And that's why you might have some people that say, actually, Mamdani can't claim an African identity because this is the context that also exists from within that community. It's complicated.
I'm 31. Mamdani is 33. Help our audience understand the appeal of Mamdani outside of the Muslim thing, outside of the fact he's a communist. I totally get it because I can view this from a digital millennial prism. I get the audience. Help explain that to some of our audience that is just so perplexed that this guy is now the Democrat candidate and likely next mayor of America's largest city.
Well, it's clearly because he eats with his hands. I mean, I think that's the main. He's seen the fork and he's just fighting through. He's like, I'm going to eat with my hands because I'm going to pander for the online clout. No, Charlie, in all seriousness, what he's doing is he's catering towards the millennial energy. He's smiley. He looks sharp. He's got a good haircut. And he says things that come off as forward thinking, even though we know it's very regressive, the idea of seizing the means of production. That's all straight out of Marx. But he's positioned himself as someone who's looking down the field and is showing actual leadership. And that is what the appeal is all about. He's packaging all of his messages for a digital age.
Mugamba mtia abana beka. Wafrika wenzangu, sisi ni wahamiaji hapa New York City. Zohran Mamdani amesema atatupa ulinzi, atasimama nasi, na sisi tusimame naye. Pamoja tutaweza.
Mumutani Africa, Mumutani New York. Kufto Muzabi Zohran.
Zohran Mamdani xeexal na jaaykatu yi jaay nit yi jaay ci mbedd yi, xeexal na tamit dawalkatu taxi yi. Def na lu ñuy wax hunger strike lu toll 15 jours pour xeexal gëddu dawalkatu taxi yi. Kon tey ñu ngi leen di woo yéen suñuy mbokk yépp sénégalais gambien ñun ñëpp ñu booloo ñu votel Zohran Mamdani parce que pour ñun la ñu changer New York ñoo ko bokk.
Ntel Africa Nord, tel New York unkol, tel karte faylat. Ananga funti karte fay moy membe bal wo soli andila wala Zohran Mamdani ti.
ñu ngi woo Africain yépp foo leen muntu di nekk ci New York City ngeen ñëw ànd ak ñun November 4th ñu dem wooteel Zohran Mamdani pour mu nekk mayor New York City parce que mooy nekk mayor bu gën ci ñun, mayor buy yombal New York ak mayor buy def suñ dëkkuwaay ci New York mu baax.
On jarama en goɗoɗa Zohran fi cuuɗɗi no hoyra ñameteji ɗin no hoyra e fi immigration newnara jaman fof ka sare ɗon
maremu kawote pour Zohran Mamdani awodemana as mukunu awodemana o kaitunu o kompunu o remmu ayasirenni pour de bekera
jama'a ku bar mu fito da yawan mu da kwanmu da kwarkwatan mu mu saya bayan wanda yake duk lokacin da masala ya same mu shi ma yana siyawa bayan mu bi ma'ana Zohran Mamdani lokaci ya kai mu zabe shi ya zama New York City mayor.
En wallitoto Zohran fi Zohran wallitoto amma aɗen voten le 25 octobre haa le 2 novembre kono élection on tigiri on ko le 4 novembre.
Say hi to my camera!
Hello!
Hi!
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Ritom.
Ritom?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Elections on Tuesday.
Yeah, we got you.
Once Zohran Mamdani is elected mayor of New York City, it's going to be the catalyst that causes the downfall of the U.S. government. At this point, it's pretty much undeniable that he's going to be our next mayor. He's literally torched Andrew Cuomo in every debate. This election is going to show the rest of the country that it's time for change. No matter if you agree with him or you disagree with him, can you at least pay attention to the fact that both Democrats and Republicans are coming after him? They are operating together as an establishment, which is exactly what they've always done. Democrats get elected into office so that they can stall government. Republicans get elected into office so that they can abuse power. No matter which side of the spectrum that you fall on, if you haven't picked up on this fact yet, then you truly are not accepting what our U.S. government actually is. For those of you that oppose his policies, can you at least research what his policies actually are instead of accepting the misinformation that you are being given from whatever news source you get it from? Because both liberal and conservative news stations are giving out incorrect information when it comes to his policies. Again, if you disagree with them, fact check the news sources that you are getting information from. For example, when it comes to his increase in tax on the wealthy who are making over $1 million, he wants to increase their taxes by 2%. Both liberal and conservative news stations are saying that he wants to increase their taxes by 50%. For those of you calling him a communist, aren't you the same people that actually want our tax dollars to be reinvested back into our society? Are you actually okay with how our tax dollars are spent on wars and other countries that have nothing to do with us? I mean, how many billions of dollars were just sent to Argentina? But yet, our government shut down. For those of you who are spewing Islamophobia and talking about our country or our city being taken over by a jihadist, have you not accepted the fact that in order for politicians to get elected into the U.S. government, they have to pledge allegiance to a foreign nation? That doesn't bother you? But like I said at the beginning of this video, Zohran Mamdani getting elected as mayor of New York City is going to shift the political landscape in this country because people are starting to realize that the only thing that our government has bipartisanship on is our foreign adversary and Zohran Mamdani, or any political candidate that does not fall in line with this establishment's objectives, which are to keep us in line.
With Cuomo losing, probably going to be a lot of talk that this is the end of that Cuomo dynasty, you know, that goes back decades, I should say, with his father. His father, almost 50 years ago, ran for mayor of New York City, lost the Democratic primary, continued his candidacy as a third-party candidate in the general election, just like his son. And Mario Cuomo lost that election to Ed Koch, 50 to 41%. And that might be exactly where this thing lands tonight.
People keep talking about how if Sliwa drops out of the race, then Cuomo and Mamdani are basically going to be neck and neck. But why is no one talking about the fact that if Cuomo drops out of the race, Sliwa is going to run away with this thing? This man represents New York in a way that is not coming back. They do not make people like this anymore. Shot in the back of a cab by the Italian mob in 1992. Like, you can make this stuff up, which is why he's so good. This is grit. This is New York City. We are not making this type of downtrodden optimism anymore. We need to embrace tradition. Pressure Cuomo to drop out.
You as a Jew, how do you feel about potentially having the first Muslim mayor here in New York City?
It's not about the Muslim mayor. It's about what his policies are.
Yeah, what do you think about his policies and him not?
Very bad.
And what do you think about him not declining or saying no to the globalizing the Antifada?
That's very bad. Even the worst thing that can even be said.
And who are you voting for?
I'm voting for Cuomo.
What will happen in New York City if this guy does win?
The city is going to become Detroit. We know what happens. Detroit fell apart in a generation. Do we want New York to be another Detroit? What happens if the stock exchange leaves? What happens if all the big law firms leave? Because people will want to leave.
You think New York City will fall if this guy is elected mayor?
Oh, there's no question. It's already barely surviving. In the last 12 years, things have not been going well. All the various state bills, COVID, the city's not the same. Everything's very expensive. It's really only for the very rich and very poor. Young people move here, live like 4 to an apartment, paying their entire salary in rent and groceries. If you continue to move in that direction and take an even sharper leftist turn, plus you start importing various Islamist ideologies, the city simply can't survive. No one wants to stay here, and there's no money to be made anymore.
Do you think government-run grocery stores is a good idea?
No.
What about defunding the police?
Horrible idea.
What do you think will happen in New York City if they do defund the police?
I think it will go... I mean, it's already a dangerous city. I think it will get tremendously worse. I think it's horrible for our kids. I think it's horrible for our elderly. I think it's just a horrible idea. I don't know why I would ever defund the place.
Zohran Mamdani has won the election and will be the next mayor of New York City, beating disgraced Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa. This is a generational win that won't just shape the future of New York City, but will re-envision the future of the Democratic Party as a whole, nationwide. Mamdani ran one of the best campaigns we've ever seen, starting out as an unknown underdog disavowed by many Democrats for being too progressive, to now being the next mayor of America's largest city. From policy to character to social media presence and campaign strategy, this will go down as one of the most successful campaigns ever ran. Earlier when I said this win would reshape the entirety of the Democratic Party, that was 100% true. For so long, so many Americans have become disillusioned with Democratic congressmen and women, arguing that they feel as if there's some type of disconnect between us and them, that they're not really focusing on affordability or what it's like to live life as the average American, nor do we feel the sense of genuineness and the characters of those that represent us. Those points are what Mamdani won on. They're a winning strategy. Now the rest of the party will be forced to adapt. Tonight is historic.
New York City mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mamdani lead is growing among likely and registered voters, according to Fox News polls. 52% of likely voters back in Mamdani, with independent candidate Andrew Cuomo trailing behind at 28%. GOP candidate Curtis Sliwa polling at just 14% before the candidates met to debate their policies last night.
And there'll be another debate, but last night was a big one. Mamdani faced a lot of pushback on how he plans to pay for his costly agenda that includes rent control, universal child care, and free and fast buses.
Tell New Yorkers tonight how you're going to pay for all of this in 1 minute, if you can.
Look, a lot of people have called even my campaign a non-starter when we first began. And now I stand before you proud to be the Democratic nominee who got the most votes in city primary history. And I believe we will see the same thing with our push to ensure that we are taxing the wealthiest and the most profitable corporations the fair amount that they should pay.
But again, Mr. Mamdani, I know Governor Hochul indicated this week there may be some open windows, but more or less income tax on millionaires is off the table, according to the governor.
Look, I've said very clearly, making buses fast and free costs about $700 million a year. Making universal child care a reality costs about $5 or $6 billion a year. If you raise the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey, you'd be raising $5 billion in and of itself.
Well, Zohran, boy, your fantasies are never going to come about in terms of funding everything you want that's going to be free, free, free. It's a fantasy. Let's deal with the reality.
The Assemblyman's whole plan is based on a myth. He said he's going to raise the taxes the same as New Jersey, corporate tax. No, it would be double the tax. You would see New Yorkers on I-95 fleeing to Florida.
Governor Cuomo is 100% right, but I digress. And just over the bridge in New Jersey, Republican Jack Ciattarelli is closing the gap on Democrat Mikey Sherrill. According to a Fox News poll, get this, Ciattarelli is now trailing by only 5 points among likely voters after trailing by 8 points last month.
Sherrill, on the other hand, losing points on honesty and trust among registered voters, dropping 4 points since September. Ciattarelli losing just 1 point in that category.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.